Alright, let's mount the water cooler. So because we're using the AMD brackets, the first thing they want us to do is to remove these two plastic brackets here. We'll go ahead and do that. One. Whew. Two. That whole back plate on the back end of the motherboard is going to come off when you take these 4 screws off. Alright, after you remove those 4 screws, you're going to have to go on the other side and gently remove the back plate that comes stock on the motherboard. Alright, well, let's reference our instructions for AMD here just to be clear. You're going to always want to check the instructions on stuff like this because you never know if you're going to screw it up. Okay, so we actually keep this part on the back and we use the standoffs to do it. Just brand AMD standoff, figure 2. I believe these are the AMD standoffs. They have a bigger thread on one side, and the bigger thread is going to be what screws into the back plate on the motherboard. So let's go ahead and screw some of those in and put the back plate back in its place. Then you take the thicker thread, go ahead and screw those AMD standoffs in. They're in their own separate bag in a pack of 4. All the Intel stuff comes in a whole nother bag. Alright. Whoa. Where did that go? No. All right. All right. So we need the AMD retention bracket. All right. So what we're going to want to do is go ahead and take off the included Intel bracket. And to do that, we have to turn it clockwise, supposedly. Yeah, I don't feel like that's happening. Yeah. There we go. You have to kind of press down on it and twist it off. So for this one, okay, we have our AMD bracket installed. Now we're going to have to install our radiator. So that should be pretty straightforward. We're going to go in the back here with ours. And it's usually best just to kind of scope it out hose-wise. I think what always works best for me is to put the hoses on the bottom side. And you know what? Before we do that, let me go ahead and... Oh. Well, now we're on our own. We can't safely attach that. So I think the first thing we're going to want to do then is get some fans ready. Now to do this, You're gonna want to go ahead and feed some fan wires through first. You have to start with, if you're doing the push-pull configuration, you have to start with the fan in the back, and the screws go through that fan and into the radiator on the other side. So a good place to start, I think, would be to feed some screws in there with some washers, just to kind of hold things in place for now. They give you all your fan screws. They're the long ones that include the washers. And just for sanity's sake, I'm going to get a few in there so it stays where it should be. At least 2 of them, just so it hangs. So, let's see. Alright, there's 1. There's 2. Oh, well, this is going to be a pain in the ass until we get some of these screws in place. So, alright, enough monkeying around. I'm just going to try to get at least one of these screws in place. Like this, I'm just going to tuck that down there for now. Oh boy, this might be harder than I thought. The goal is just to get one in place. If you can do that, you can do anything. My lord. This is going to be a pain in the butt. Alright. Let's just try to get one. Just one. There we go. Now be very careful when you're screwing these into a radiator. You do not want to overdo it. There we go. You can actually screw too far and puncture your radiator if you're not careful. I don't know if they've fixed that design flaw since, but I wouldn't risk it. Well, since it's being stubborn, I guess I'll come down to this one next. Come on, baby. There we go. All right, once you have 2 of them screwed in, at least a little bit, it will stay secure. You can at least start to maneuver around a little bit. It's really easy after the first couple screws. Putting the fan on the other side of the cooler is no big deal. Alright, now I just noticed before we get in too deep, we're going to have to put that CPU cable in. After we add another fan on top of this, I do not think, you know what? Yep. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put the CPU cable in. Because if we don't do it now, we're never going to be able to get it in there. That's the bad part about this. All right, she's in. Now we can continue without worrying about it. Okay. All right, so that's not sticking at all. This is never fun. This thing's being a huge pain in the ass. There we go. Damn it. There we go. Finally. All right, here's our first fan. Fortunately, the second fan is incredibly easy to do. Just gonna go ahead and feed these wires in the back to prepare for more wires later. All right, so this is also extremely easy. You have to make sure that your fans are pointing the right way. There are some arrows on the cooler that show you the airflow. All right, there's one. Damn it. Three. Here is number 4. I just need to screw those in. All right, nice and snug. All right, so now we just need to put on the cooler. And this is just going to involve using 4 thumb screws. And all we're going to do is put our pump right on top of the CPU and then thumb screw it onto our posts that we set up ahead of time. I believe it's as simple as that. That's how it's always been in the past, but who knows? This is a new style. Oh, the hoses actually rotate. That's nice. So I think our best bet is probably going to be hoses on this side, like that. Oh wow, these hoses actually rotate like freely. It's like gyroscopic. All right. There's one. Trying to get number 2 on there. All right. We have 2. Go ahead and get number 3 on there. I gotta say, I am really impressed with this GT series. It is incredibly nice. The fact that those hoses are able to swivel like that is absolutely beautiful. Very cool. Now with these, you don't need to get crazy with tightening them. Just use your hands. Tight's good. I think over tightened is bad. And just kind of go with a pattern, crisscross, until you start to feel about even resistance. You know, it's going to get to a point where you'll just know it's secure without over tightening. We're almost there now. Really excited about this GT series. This turned out really good. All right, let's see. Okay. So this one goes into the CPU fan. And then the other cord is what supplies power to the 2 fans. And then the water pump, the unit itself actually controls the fan speeds. I'm going to go ahead and feed my CPU fan power cable. Feed it into the place it needs to be, which is right there. Got it nice and hidden in the back. I don't know if you can see that. And this cord here is what supplies power to our fans. And we'll also send that back there. Very easy to work with. All right. And on the back side then, you're just going to have your 2 4-pin fan cables. Just plug them into the the splitter for the fans. And that's that. That should be that. Let me go ahead and zip strip this on the back here. Okay. And then our Corsair link, which is not necessary, but I don't know. We might as well, right? All right. So it's like a mini USB cable, just plugs into the top. right there. Then that goes into a 4-pin USB on the motherboard, which will actually end up being down here. Let's pull that through. We'll worry about the cable management later. Alright, so that is that. I'm going to go ahead and put the remaining hardware back in the box with the original mounting brackets for the AMD cooler. Very impressed with this GT series. Very freaking nice. I love everything about it at this point. The fact that those hoses swivel like that is amazing. That was always one of the pain in the ass parts about the older styles. But now on top of them swiveling, they have that nice black braid on them. It's freaking beautiful. Really looks sharp. So I think we finally hit the point where it's just about time to finish this sucker up. You just need to run all the wires for everything, run the power cables, the jumper cables, all that stuff. Now let's see. I know we have our CPU fan. We have system fan 1 there, and then system fan 2's on the bottom. So that's beautiful. We have just enough to do everything. I'm going to go ahead and add this fan to the top. I think they want us to mount these through the bottom. Yep. Alright.